hear the wave on your stereo, or even better, anywhere in your home? Check out the tips for better sound at www.whav.net.
Catch the wave!
Those political sound bites you hear on the news are, at best, incomplete and could be misleading or even outright lies. This is David Pakman. Take time to delve into the truth by listening to The David Pakman Show, Tuesday through Friday nights at 8 on WHAV. Lack of logic and reason are exposed on The David Pakman Show as newsmakers collapse under cross-examination. Remember, only local radio can bring you this talk opportunity, but only WHAV does.
Wave weather!
I'm WHAV meteorologist Gary Best with wave weather. Any lingering snow or scattered snow showers ending through the night. Breezy and very cold, low temperature between 9 and 12. During the day on Tuesday, a mix of clouds and sun. High temperature 22 to 26. Fair at night around 10 to 14 degrees. And during the day Wednesday, sun and clouds, a slight chance of a flurry. High temperature upper teens to low 20s. This is Gary Best. Your next wave weather coming up in 30 minutes.
Some gold favorites, the most music. WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco at whav.net.
And yes, despite the snow, Nathan E. Webster III, producer of the Open Mic Show, and yours truly, Tim Coco, are here live on WHAV tonight with the Open Mic Show. Now, I realize some of you have tuned in to Channel 22 and are wondering what we have to do with the Haverhill Public Library or Yahoo weather. Well, there's a story in there about Yahoos, but we'll save that for later. As a public service, WHAV operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. News Director Dana Esmo, for example, was here at 5:30 this morning putting together today's newscasts. So WHAV is a public service, and tonight we're going to be on the air, assuming the power stays on, but I think the worst of the storm is over. And we're going to tell you as we find out what's open, what's closed, what's happening tomorrow, and whether the school kids will still be home tomorrow. At least that's what I heard one parent describe them as after yet another day at home with school cancellations. So now we're going to try to make this show interesting because I want to encourage you to call, especially tonight. We want to show folks that we don't have to have our picture on Channel 22 to have you call in. So we're emphasizing the show is on, it is live, this is not a recording. Now, if we ever repeat this broadcast, then it will be confusing, won't it? But in any event, you can still watch this program on your computer or smartphone at whav.tv. whav.tv. Now, our friends in some of the neighboring towns never had a picture, and so they're probably just waiting right by their televisions with their local public access stations listening in. So we do encourage you. Now, tonight I'm going to try something different. Please call if you know of a group that's calling off tomorrow, a bank that's going to stay closed, schools that aren't going to be open. We'll have our own list as well. But last week, I won't use her last name, but a Kathy called this station and was under the idea, and I can see why she thought so, that we have something to do with Haverhill Community Television, Channel 22. We actually don't, because they are a public access station. They carry the Open Mic Show as part of their duties, but it is a separate operation, separate board of directors, and so on. So Kathy called absolutely beside herself that she could not get a notice on Channel 22's bulletin board indicating that her civic club, and I'm going to leave the name out because I don't want to give her away without her permission, her civic club was not going to be able to meet because of one of the snowstorms last week. And she was just beside herself that there was no one at the TV station and thought perhaps we had something to do with that. And I'm afraid not. Last week we decided not to do this broadcast because so many people believe that if they cannot see us on Channel 22, then we must not be doing a show. So I'm going to keep emphasizing that we are here. WHAV is live. It's on the air 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it is a great public service for listeners to know about what's open, what's closed, what the weather is, what the news is. However, as I promised, I do want to make this more interesting for you tonight. So, Nate is going to dig out, I don't know what we'll give it for a name, the toy box, if you will. Every caller who calls tonight is going to get a prize. I guarantee it. Every caller. Now, I can't say that it's a prize you necessarily want, but hey, like the old days, you can take it out of the cereal box and trade with your friends and get what you need. And I want to do a shout out to our friends at Kimball Tavern Antiques, corner of Salem and South Main Streets in Bradford, because the toy box is filled with all kinds of goodies donated by Kimball Tavern Antiques. So you might have baseball cards, you might have a Trivial Pursuit game, you might have some golf paraphernalia. I don't think there might still be golf tees in there, maybe not. Okay, Nate's going to check that in a bit. And then we're going to do that. And we also have our regular prizes. We're going to do a birthday. We're going to take names for a birthday cake. So we are now taking March birthdays and anniversaries. Call, wish someone a happy birthday or a couple an anniversary, happy anniversary for their March event. And the recipient's name will be placed into the hat for drawing the last Monday of the month. But there's more. If you act before midnight, no. If you act right now, there's more. There used to be a radio program, and I think David Godswood might enjoy this. And I'm going to drop names tonight because I want to keep listeners by their radios, their TVs, their smartphones, their whatevers. But there used to be a radio show called It Pays to Be Ignorant. It pays to be ignorant. One of the examples are the hostmaster asks a question, how much is 2 pounds of hot dogs? And the answer he accepted, a lot of bologna. So we're going to have some fun. I want you to ask silly questions or give silly answers, and we'll go, and we'll provide prizes because it pays to be ignorant. All right. I believe we had a trivia question also left over from Kimball Tavern Antiques. My problem is I have the answer but not the question. This is kind of like Karnak, the old Johnny Carson program. I have the answer, but I don't have the question. So maybe we'll learn more about that. All right, WHAV can be heard on the internet at whav.net. You can watch it at whav.tv. You can also listen on AM radio 1640, and the snow is helping the signal, oddly enough, and on cable television and over Channel 8, Haverhill Channel 22, Methuen Channels 8 and 22 on Comcast, Channel 32 on Verizon Fios, Plasto Channels 17 and 23, Sandown also Channel 17. Please call the program 978-374-1900, 978-374-1900. 800. If you're shy, you can also use the message board below the screen at WHAV.tv. You don't have to have a WHAV account. You can use Facebook or one of your other logins, but you may do that as well. You can also email me directly at tcoco, T as in Tim, TCOCO, at WHAV.net. All right. All kinds of things happening, or as the case may be, not happening because of the storm. Perhaps some frenzied parent wants to call in and tell me what it's been like to have the kids at home, or worse, if you had to work and you had to send the kids someplace else. Let's hear all the gory details: the crying, the screaming, the throwing of objects, whatever it may be, because those are the stories I've been hearing from a few parents, so maybe you do that. All right, I think we have our first phone caller. You are on the Open Mic Show.
What about this weather?
What about this weather? It's
been raining so hard I couldn't go out and pick grapefruit.
Yes, this is our Florida caller who to protect I should protect him by not using his name, but I'm not so kind. This is WHAV historian David Goudswood, Haverhill native, who now lives somewhat in the vicinity of Haverhill, Florida, of all things.
Haverhill, Florida.
Haverhill, yes, right. People down there never quite got the hang of the name.
They did originally back in 1950 when it was founded by people from Haverhill. But in the last 60 years or so, apparently we've gotten very wealthy, i.e. stupid.
All right. Okay, David, are you going to play It Pays to Be Ignorant?
No, but I'm going to wish my mother a happy birthday.
Oh, hey, did you give that to Nate?
Oh, yeah, I ain't that ignorant.
All right. All right, so happy birthday, Joan, right?
Yep.
Only because
her.
I know. Well, happy birthday,
so she
Joan.
keeps telling me.
I have to say, your mother is wonderful. No matter what it is I put on Facebook, she likes it. And I'm very pleased with that.
Yeah, I fought getting her a tablet for years.
Oh, so she has a tablet?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, isn't that nice? So she's on the internet. A lot of people that you might not think would be are doing it because, the grandchildren are no longer on rolls of Kodachrome. They're on the internet. Oh, it's wonderful.
I don't even think people refer to it as Kodachrome anymore.
Film, that stuff you used to have to take to the drugstore, wait 3 or 4 days for it to be developed, and then go home and find out that most of them are blurry or your thumb was over the lens?
Oh, you laugh, but I just found a camera with film in it. Now I have no idea how old it is, and it's going to cost me more to get a battery in it just to use up the roll and develop it than it's going to be for anything else.
What do you know about that? All right, so, anyway, we have a happy birthday to Joan. And did I, not that, we're open-minded here, did I see that you and your brother showed up in a feature story in the Haverhill Gazette? Oh, no, up here it's Haverhill, right, okay.
Yeah, I know you're thinking you'd like to be here.
All right,
but
so
it's very raw and damp out here. It's got to be like in the low 70s.
I just want you to know that we'll give you as much of a plug as they gave you. So,
Well, you spelt the name right. That's points.
All right, well, there you are. So David Goudswood and Scott Goudswood, and I think Scott would prefer it, Scott Goudswood and his brother, were...
He always has.
in the Haverhill Gazette, talking about, was it Horror Guide to New England?
Horror Guide to Massachusetts.
Horror Guide to
New
Massachusetts.
England yet. Don't rush me.
Yeah, okay, that's right. So, did you like the article?
It was a fun little article. I mean, I'm not quite sure the poor reporter had any idea what they were getting themselves into with putting the two of us on a conference call, but...
Oh, so this was done by conference call?
Yeah. I'm afraid so.
All right, well, not unlike what we're doing tonight, right? So if Scott wants to call in on the other line...
I'm not even sure if Scott's inside or if he's still shoveling his car out.
Yes, well, you see, we had an advantage here. we were never allowed to leave. So,
Well, that sounds like it's an issue with management more than anything.
yes, yeah. Well, I take the fifth on that. Okay, not drink a fifth, just take one. All right.
Well, whatever you do to get warm.
And well, that's true. That's only temporary on those
And
things.
I do notice you seem to be sipping a lot from that cup on the camera.
Well, it's warm for some reason. Even it's not that warm in here. Usually the studios are broiling. I don't know what happened. Maybe they're just working too hard to keep the rest of the place warm.
Well, with 8 feet of snow outside, I'm sure that the air conditioner is finally able to catch up.
Well, that's true. That's a funny story there too. I don't know if I should go into it on the air at the risk of embarrassing someone, but maybe I will.
There you go.
I was alerted by one of my staff members today that she discovered a heating firm mistakenly. How do I say this? It's so difficult. There was one of those weather websites, and I'm sure they got one of those phone calls saying, "Hey, if you're selling something that's cold weather related, we got a deal for you. We'll put it online for half price or something." However, somewhere along the line, this media, who has nothing to do with us, but for now shall remain nameless.
Just as a point aside, not to interrupt your story, but the way you said media right there, it sounded almost like you meant to say idiot.
Could be the same thing, yeah. Okay.
I'm just pointing that out for the listening audience.
All right, so anyway, inadvertently, this company is advertising quick installation of air conditioning today.
Well, it's definitely a slow season for them.
Well, I suppose maybe we misunderstood. Maybe it's a marketing tactic.
Yeah, well, they bring the snow plow, they clear the roof away, they put the new unit up there. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh, so maybe it's a way of getting free help.
It's like trying to find a roofer down here during rainy season. Don't bother, but when it's nice and dry, then you can get one.
So David, you get a prize too, because every caller gets a prize. Nate, what do we have in the prize box for David?
I am a quiver with anticipation.
All right. I don't know if we should just pick it at random or actually let the guests choose their prize.
Well, it could be malaria, though, I suppose.
Malaria. I don't know. I know there was some baseball bubblegum cards. I'm assuming the bubblegum is still in them. That would be about 30, 40-year-old bubblegum.
If I have to patch the roof, at least I'll have something.
Well, there, you might have it. You might have it there. All right, Nate is busy. Oh, you're just going to grab it? So I
think random has a lot more potential for awkward humor tonight, so I'm going to have to vote for randomly pull something out of the toy box.
All right, so Nate has chosen this set.
He does know I know where he lives.
Oh, yeah, let's see. This set, it's still shrink-wrapped, the original packaging from our friends at Kimball Tavern Antiques, 1989 High Number Series baseball cards. And then let's go.
That's actually old enough that it does qualify for an antique now, isn't it?
Yeah, it might be. All right, so David Gounswood wins the collector's choice. Oh, this even has, I'm reading the fine print, which is hard to read. Logo holograms.
Ooh.
So apparently no bubblegum for you, David. 1989.
Well, if it's that old, probably the holograms are almost as tasty as the bubblegum would be.
Oh, maybe. 1989 High Number Series assortment of team logo holograms. Cards 701 to 800. Newest rookie cards. Traded players. You know the sad irony of this is that the newest rookies are probably retired now.
Well, 89, that actually might be Carlos Pena.
Ooh, see, David
Maybe you ought to
Gounswood
save
knows.
it and use it and thumbtack him up on the Hall of Fame.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, this is yours. Nate is now going to tape your name to it, because if you don't tape it on there, I just might lose it. All right.
I wasn't going to say a word.
All right. So, now, David, you've followed. Nate is trying to get me off the phone. Is this because of the break I'm missing, or is there another caller?
Oh, no, that's a break. You missed. You blew it past it about 5 minutes ago.
Is a break and a call. This is Doubleheader.
Ah,
No,
baseball pun. Very nice.
Yeah, well, I try when I can. All right, David. So, okay, you've already ridiculed us because it's because of raining so hard. You're having trouble picking grapefruit tonight. But other than that, any other comment on your being away from New England during this particularly tough time?
I got nothing, because anything I say will come back to haunt me on the remote chance any of the relatives are listening.
Ah, that's right. Yeah, you might not get a piece of birthday cake if your mother wins.
Well, if I'm down here and she's up there, I don't think I want a piece anyway.
Yeah, all right. Well, I guess you could.
It's a good cake. I've had it before on visits up there, but I don't think it mails well.
Oh, all right. Well, that's a good point. All right, David, any other final thoughts? You can always call back, but if I don't take this break, Nate looks like he's in a mean mood tonight.
Take the break, take the other caller. I will be listening in the background. If you hit the point where you're starting to read the collar on your shirt, I'll call back.
All right. Thank you very much, David. Open Mic Show, WHAV historian.
Talk to you later, Tim.
Bye. All right. Nate, now he's going to take us to a break, and then please, the caller who's on hold, please stay with us. Every caller tonight wins a prize. And as David Gautza just discovered, perhaps these 1989 baseball cards might very well be valuable, thanks to our good friends at Kimball Tavern Antiques. We'll be right back after the mass moments today in Massachusetts history.
Open mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
Are you listening to WHAV on cable television? If so, join WHAV in thanking the board, staff, and members of your local public access channel.
Catch the wave!
The most trusted man in America, news anchor Walter Cronkite, once said, "It is absolutely essential in a democracy to have competition in the media, a lot of competition." That sentiment is one of the driving forces behind WHAV's expanded local news effort. This is News Director Dana Esmail inviting you to listen to my hourly weekday newscasts right here on WHAV. You'll also find the area's most comprehensive local news reporting at whav.net on your computer or smartphone. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and it's always free.
And that's the way it is.
Today is February 9th. On this day in 1895, a new game was first played at the YMCA in Holyoke. Many of the men who came to the Y were excited about another new game, basketball. But the Holyoke sports director was looking for a less strenuous indoor sport. Borrowing from basketball, tennis, and handball, William Morgan came up with mintonette, soon renamed volleyball. Over the next half-century, the game spread around the world. At the first Olympic competition in the 1964 Games in Tokyo, the Soviet men and Japanese women took the gold. However, when the Volleyball Hall of Fame opened in 1987, it was in Holyoke, the Massachusetts mill town where the game was born. For more about the history of volleyball, go online to massmoments.org. This Massachusetts Moment has been brought to you by the Massachusetts Foundation for the Humanities.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
Welcome back to the Open Mic Show, a 50-year staple of democracy in the Merrimack Valley, reminding you that the program is live. If you don't see it on your television, it's not because it's not live, it's because the snow kept people away at Channel 22. But we are here, and if you do want to see us as well as hear us, you can go to whav.tv on your computer or smartphone, and you'll be able to watch right there. You may also call the program 978-374-1900. All right, let's go to the phones. And tonight, every caller is a winner, whether they want to be or not. How's that, Brian?
That's fine with me.
All right, Brian, how are you?
I'm okay. Hanging in.
All right, and you have a birthday wish, did you?
I do. It's Brittany.
Brittany. Happy birthday, Brittany.
I mean, I know lots of March birthdays, but, not all of them live around here. So Brittany does, and...
Well, I say this every now and then, and everyone here, all of our callers are so honest. It's incredible. I tell them, put in the name Mickey Mouse, get the cake for yourself, and don't share it. I just don't understand the problem.
Well, I don't know. Maybe people feel guilty.
All right, well, that's a good thing, I guess, isn't it?
I guess.
All right, so when is Brittany's birthday?
29th.
29th.
March 29th.
March 29th. All right, of course. Now, what can you tell us about Brittany? Something embarrassing that we can use.
Something embarrassing?
No, we have a new theme tonight. You have to work for your prize.
Well...
No, that's okay. I'm kidding. But you do get a prize.
She used to take care of my wife back in the day, several years ago.
Well, that's a very good thing then, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so.
All right, Nate, what does Brian get for a gift? Because Nate is going to pull them out of the toy box donated by Kimball Tavern Antiques.
I don't know if there's anything in that black bag for me.
Ah, yes. Well, I'm sure there's something. And by the way, that reminds me, since I'm mentioning sponsors, I should have mentioned that this hour of the Open Mic Show is
brought to you by Northern Essex Community College. Expect more at Northern Essex.
We're going to record that and use it when Northern Essex is back as a sponsor. But
okay. So Haverhill Bank.
That's right. Now,
just one bank, and I say that all the time anyway.
That's right. So Haverhill Bank, just one bank. And by the way, there is the Brian Langlois. Keep doing that. Is it Relief Fund?
Relief Fund, right.
At Haverhill Bank. Poor Brian here, his life savings was stolen from his home. Not only that, the safe it was in. So if you could make a contribution at any Haverhill Bank branch, and I don't think there's any way to do it online yet. We're working on that, though, aren't we?
I guess.
All right. Okay, Brian, you win. You win a complete collector set, Young Superstars of Baseball, 33 super gloss photo cards from Topps. Now, what year is this? 1986, printed in Northern Ireland.
Doggy.
All right, so there's so the Young Superstars might not be quite as nimble and young as they were.
Perhaps not. 1986.
Well, you know what? Look at this. It says KB. That was a toy store, right? Is that still around?
I don't know.
KB.
KB Toys. Yeah. I
You know.
remember them at Methuen Mall.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I just find this kind of funny. Topps Ireland, printed in Northern Ireland. Young Superstars of Baseball. I'm assuming they're not.
It's probably cheaper to have it printed there.
I'm assuming they're not. I hit or click. You still there, Brian?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Test.
Yes. All right. Well, actually, there's some names on the back here. John Franco, Brian Fisher, Jeff Stone. Why isn't there a name I recognize?
No.
Well, this might be the booby prize, Brian.
Well, I don't know. It sounds fine for me, though.
All right, so Nate is going to, we're doing this really professional tonight. We're scotch taping names to the cards to make sure that the right gift goes to the right person. How are you dealing with this weather, or does it not bother you at all? You got your hot chocolate all set?
Well, I'm just kind of disgusted with all the snow because I'm looking at my back deck here, and it's full of snow, and I'm afraid the thing's going to collapse.
I was worried about that at my house, too. The worst part is the snow is now as high as the gate that I use to keep the dogs in.
So they'll just use the snow to climb up.
Well, so far they're not quite smart enough, I hate to say, to figure out that they can actually escape now. But then again, where would they go?
Yeah, right. Just more of the same wherever you go.
Yes. And my dogs are all white, so we figured if they do escape, we'll just have to look for, two black eyes in the snow. So we'll see how that goes. All right, then. Anything else on your mind, Brian?
Well, do you know if there's school tomorrow in Haverhill?
I was just looking that up. I don't think it has been announced yet. I know that one of the school committee members said that the decision, this was just before the show went on, the decision hadn't been made yet. So we keep checking in with Superintendent Scully's office. Let's see, we were up to, what were we up to? In order for schools, what it was, June 15th we're up to, or is that what the date would have been?
Oh, I don't know.
If they go back to school. Now, of course, we just lost another one, so we'll see how that goes.
I remember back in 1967, the winter was so bad that we had a half day on a Saturday at Nettle School.
Oh, my goodness, going to school on Saturday.
Yep. I guess they discussed it, and they decided that would be the best thing to do, and so it was just a half day, so no big deal.
Oh, that's interesting. I know that in 1978, I was in high school, and we had that blizzard, and I'm trying to remember. I think the state actually, but I might be wrong, so someone can correct me. Where's my class president, John Guerin, when you need him? But I may be wrong, but I think the state decided to waive the rule that year so that we didn't have to stay in school late.
Oh, is that right?
I believe we were lucky. See, the people in 67, they weren't savvy like the class of 79.
Well, I remember, though, back during that blizzard when the governor said, just everything was closed. Don't go out, and I worked at Northern Essex College back then.
Oh, you did?
Expect more at Northern Essex, yeah.
So this is why he's got the slogan down.
And but, see, I was in the house for a solid week. My wife and I both, and after just a week, we were married 1 year at that time, and
almost got divorced.
Well, we were at each other's throats. I mean, enough is enough.
Oh, that's a good point. See, this would be part of our comments for the night on our "It Pays to Be Ignorant" segment.
Yeah.
Get stuck in your home with your spouse, and this weather could cause a lot of marriages to break up. But you know what? More likely, it's going to cause a lot of children to be born.
Well, that's right, like the blackout of '65.
The blackout of '65. I don't know if you've been listening to our retromercials, and Nate is trying to get me off the air, but I'm ignoring him.
I like retromercials too.
Yeah, we have some this week with Stan Freeberg talking about how I can't think of the name of it now, but he's with this company, Destruction of America or something like this. It's a phony company, and how their client who sells transistor radios perpetrated the big blackout of 1965 on everyone in order to sell more transistor radios.
Everybody knows that it was Aunt Clara who caused the blackout.
Oh, that's right. Bewitched fans.
Yeah.
Actually, do you remember, as long as you're going to bring up old television, Nate's going out of his mind because I'm still going on here. But you remember Green Acres?
I sure do.
They finally got power delivered to the house. As if you remember, they had to climb up the pole with an extension cord. They finally got power connected to the house, And Lisa Douglas plugged in too many things, and this time the generator was not the problem. She caused the power blackout of 65.
Oh, is that it? I don't remember that part, but I remember that you couldn't go over 7.
Yeah, well, okay.
The toaster was a 2, and something else was a 3, but you couldn't go over 7.
Yeah, because that's when they had the...
blow a fuse.
Yeah, that's right. So, all right, I wonder how many other TV shows did something on the blackout.
Yeah, maybe quite a few did. But I remember hearing about that from Aunt Clara.
All right, so see, it pays to be ignorant.
It pays to be ignorant. You know, it's going to record a cart for that.
That's right, a cart, no less. You're right.
Cart. Do you still use that language now? Because
we believe it or not, the main on-air studio has digital controls that they call carts.
They do, yeah.
I guess we're no longer really using the term, but it's still labeled that way. Nate is checking it now. All right,
remember
Brian.
The cart with the ready button at the old radio station at the college?
What's that? Oh, Nate is playing something now from a cart. This is...
At least the airport's open.
Yeah, okay, Nate, I was surprised Nate found this cart. Those carts are left over from when Jack Bevilacqua hosted this program, and he used to use that, I think he calls it the Curtis LeMay fighter plane to bomb Groveland. All right.
Oh, well.
All right, well, thank you very much for your call. You're a prize winner. Brittany's name has been placed into the running for the cake, and we wish you the very best.
All right, sir.
All right, good night.
Take care.
Take care. All right, the regulars are calling the program. Keep up the momentum, folks. Every caller tonight wins a prize, thanks to our friends at Kimball Tavern Antiques. And, of course, we thank our friends at Haverhill Bank, Just One Bank, for sponsoring this last half hour. We're going to news now, pretty late. Dana Esmel has some exciting news about a couple of downtown projects that you might find interesting because only WHAV is reporting this information. We'll be back after the news and weather.
Open mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
It's 7:07.
WHAV Merrimack Valley. WHAV is a not-for-profit service of Public Media of New England Incorporated. It's heard on 1640 AM, the web, at whav.net, and participating cable television stations.
Here's what's happening in local news. 4 New Hampshire residents are due in Haverhill District Court Tuesday to face heroin trafficking charges after their arrests by police Sunday night at McDonald's restaurant 795 River Street. Haverhill police report Ariana K. Boyle, 19, and Jennifer A. Howard, 44, both of Rochester, New Hampshire, Joshua A. Hunt, 28, of Manchester, New Hampshire, and Daniel B. McKenzie, 26, of Barrington, New Hampshire, were each charged with trafficking in heroin, conspiracy to violate drug laws, and knowingly being present where heroin is kept. The arrests occurred at 8:55 p.m. Sunday. A traffic stop by Haverhill Police Saturday night led to the arrest of a Lawrence man on drug possession and motor vehicle charges. Police report Statney Whitaker, 30, of Lawrence, was arrested at 9 p.m. Saturday at 11 Arlington Street. He is charged with unlicensed operation of a motor vehicle, possession of a Class D substance with intent to distribute, and possession of a Class C substance. A Haverhill man arrested on assault charges in connection with a disturbance Friday night is due to be arraigned Tuesday in Haverhill District Court. Haverhill Police report William Degnick, 51, of Haverhill, was charged with assault with a dangerous weapon to a witness, a knife, and assault and battery. The arrests occurred at 6:45 p.m. Friday at 225 Hilldale Avenue. An investigation by Haverhill police detectives led to the arrest of 4 Groveland residents Friday at police headquarters, including a man charged with conspiracy and money laundering. Police report Sean Yerdon, 24, of Groveland, was arrested on charges of conspiracy and money laundering. According to police, he, along with Susan Yerdon, 46, Vito F. Maloney III, 33, and Jennifer Midori, 27, were all taken into custody on warrants. Police have not released the specific charges against Susan Yerdon, Maloney, or Midori. The four, who are listed as residing at the same address in Groveland, were arrested between 12:25 and 12:35 p.m. Friday. Further details were unavailable by deadline. The former Smiley School on Main Street could be the future home of a business displaced by the downtown Harbor Place project. City councilors will be asked tomorrow night to approve the sale of the building and about 1.5 acres of land to the Greater Haverhill Foundation for $187,500. The Smiley School would then be available to house Angel Care Kids Therapy Center, now at 70 Merrimack Street. The business is currently housed in one of two Merrimack Street buildings believed to be holding up full development. Angel Care Kids Therapy Center was founded in 1998 to provide pediatric, occupational, and speech therapy. It is owned and operated by Kimberly Cook of Haverhill. Meanwhile, an order of conditions approved by the State Department of Environmental Protection to protect the riverfront area was filed Friday with the Southern Essex District Registry of Deeds. The foundation is part of the consortium building the Harbor Place project. The group owns a contiguous block of downtown buildings from the former Woolworth's department store to the former optometry offices of Dr. Frederick Rose. In a letter to City Council President John A. Mitchison, Mayor James J. Fiorentini said the plan is the best of several bids to purchase the school. He added the city will keep a portion of the property for a park and playground. Built in 1914, the school was named in honor of Haverhill's third mayor, James V. Smiley. Haverhill City Council meets at 7 p.m. Tuesday in council chambers at Haverhill City Hall. In local high school sports, no scheduled matches for either the Haverhill Hillies or the Whittier Tech Wildcats on Monday. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and it's always free. In the Edwin V. Johnson newsroom, this is Dana Esmail.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Rebecca Foster. U.S. President Barack Obama and German Chancellor Angela Merkel say they've agreed to give diplomacy more time to try and defuse the crisis over Ukraine. President Obama said he hasn't made any decision yet about whether to provide the Ukrainian government with lethal military assistance. Simon Marks reports from Washington.
The two leaders presented a united front at the White House, President Obama indicating any decision about providing weapons to Ukraine is on hold.
The possibility of lethal defensive weapons is one of those options that's being examined. But I have not made a decision about that yet.
The German Chancellor said she couldn't live with herself if she didn't try to resolve the crisis diplomatically. The Americans may be skeptical about the prospects, but they're giving her the time she needs.
Britain's largest bank, HSBC, insists its procedures have fundamentally changed after an investigation found it was helping wealthy clients cheat the UK out of millions of pounds in tax. Details of thousands of secret Swiss accounts have emerged after being leaked by a whistleblower in 2007. HSBC says it's cooperating with authorities as investigations into its practices continue in the US, Argentina, Belgium, and France. Bank shares in Greece have fallen sharply following remarks by Greek Finance Minister Yanis Varoufakis about the potential collapse of the Eurozone. Pro-Greece protests also took place in Vienna as Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras visited Austria to lobby support for changes to Greece's bailout deal. Here's our Europe correspondent Sandra Gatman.
Greece's escalating debt crisis sent shares sliding across Europe on Tuesday, triggering a fresh sell-off in Greek bonds. The Athens market plummeted 6%, with Greece's four largest banks seeing double-digit falls. The market panic was sparked by Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras' defiant speech delivered over the weekend, vowing to reverse austerity measures, and his finance minister's warnings that a Greek exit from the euro would mean the collapse of the single currency.
Internet streaming giant Netflix has announced it's launched its service in Cuba as the U.S. and Cuba work towards establishing full diplomatic relations. Cubans can subscribe to Netflix using international credit and debit cards. CEO of the company, Reed Hastings, says Netflix is excited to bring its content to Cubans. And acclaimed American novelist Harper Lee is said to be extremely hurt by claims that she's been pressured into authorizing the publication of a sequel to the iconic classic To Kill a Mockingbird. The 88-year-old author lives in seclusion at a retirement home in Alabama, and questions have been raised about whether she's aware that 2 million copies of the book are about to roll off the presses. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Wave weather.
I'm WHAV meteorologist Gary Best with wave weather. Any lingering snow or scattered snow showers ending through the night. Breezy and very cold, low temperature between 9 and 12. During the day on Tuesday, a mix of clouds and sun. High temperature 22 to 26. Fair at night around 10 to 14 degrees. And during the day Wednesday, sun and clouds, a slight chance of a flurry. High temperature upper teens to low 20s. This is Gary Best. Your next wave weather coming up in 30 minutes.
For live and local talk, listen to the Open Mic Show, Monday nights. You can also see the program at www.whav.tv. Only local radio can bring you this talk opportunity, but only WHAV does.
WHAV, Merrimack Valley, open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
All right, this is the Storm Central edition of the Open Mic Show. Yes, WHAV and the Open Mic Show are live. This hour of the Open Mic Show being brought to you by Haverhill Bank. Just one bank. All right, some news here. Haverhill Mayor James J. Fiorentini is very upset with Governor Baker, according to a Facebook post. Apparently, the governor has canceled MBTA rail service as of 7 o'clock, a few minutes ago. So if you have a loved one who is planning on taking one of the later trains, there is a problem. The mayor writes, "What will our commuters do? Unacceptable." And this is in response to MBTA cancels all rail service Monday night at 7 o'clock because of the snow. All right, we just heard Gary Best, WHAV meteorologist, mention that tomorrow is going to be a relatively good day, somewhat cold, but New Englanders can handle the cold. All right, we have a caller on the line. But before we bring him up, I just want to remind you, every caller tonight gets a prize. If I forget, you tell me. If I forget, you get 2 prizes. How's that? All right, 978-374-1900. Is that you, Jerry?
Yes, it is. What's my prize?
All right,
brand
Nate.
new Cadillac hubcap.
Maybe. Nate is reaching into the grab bag. He apparently does not allow me near it, so it'll be a surprise to me, too. Let's see what Jerry gets for a prize, courtesy of our friends at
Kimball. I bet you those baseball cards are worth some money.
Well, I wonder,
Oh, yes, I bet they are.
So, this is a courtesy of our friends at Kimball Tavern Antiques. Okay, all right, Jerry.
Yes.
You get 1989 baseball puzzle and cards.
Wonderful.
Value pack, 9 puzzle pieces, 45 trading cards.
Wow.
Let's see. Featuring the Warren Spain puzzle.
Warren Spahn.
Spahn, I don't know. This was so long ago. Spahn.
Oh, God, he was tremendous.
All right, see, Jerry likes his prize.
Yes.
All right, let's see who else is here. Shane Raleigh.
No, I don't know him.
You know what's funny, though? I don't know. Maybe it's good that we're not on some TV stations tonight because...
those are good prizes, I'm telling you. Those are good prizes that are being given out.
Oh, okay. Now I understand the cards. Okay, so each card, the back of it, it forms a puzzle piece. So possibly you can assemble a puzzle. You probably go out of your mind, Joe, if you have a missing piece in here.
Yeah, I know. That always used to happen to me in the old days.
All right, see.
Hey, tell me, thank you very much for the prize.
Well, thank
But I
our friends
wanted
at
to give
Kimball's.
a prize to you.
A prize from me.
And the legal fee. What do you call it? Whatever you want to call it.
For our new FM.
Could you 2 weeks ago you made a plea, or not a plea, a request for people, listeners, to help defray the cost of the legal fees for getting the FM station, and it was really quite a lot of money, $40,000, I think you said.
41, but who's counting? No, I take that back. The lawyers are counting.
Yeah, the lawyers are counting. Well, anyway, could you go through that, how you make a donation? Because I called the station, and I was supposed to get a call back. I left a message on the voicemail, and I never got a call. And then, what was it? There was one night there. Was it last week? You weren't on. You weren't on last week?
No.
Or what?
Yeah, last week the TV station shut us off, and I thought this week, whether we're on the TV or not, we have to be here. It's a public service. And Jerry, I really appreciate where you're going with this. I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know why your call was missed. I'll look into that. But
Okay.
what I will say is, here's the backstory. And actually, Jerry, you're giving me a nice segue into something. So after you're off the phone, last week. A good friend of both of ours, Jerry, Haverhill City Councilor Bill Masick,
yes.
without any prodding from me, believe me, I was as surprised as anybody. He spent a couple minutes during the live Haverhill City Council meeting to talk about how WHAV-FM is going to be a great thing for the city of Haverhill, and it'll be great for those people who were getting satellite dishes instead of cable TV because you can't get local programs on the satellite. So it was a wonderful comment. We're going to try to play.
I don't know. I just switched to Dish.
See, you're another one who. So how are you hearing us, Jerry?
No, I'm right now. I'm on the computer.
Oh, wow. See, Jerry is one of these savvy techno listeners who is using his computer to hear the open mic show.
Because I didn't even want to take a chance that you would be preempted by the school board tonight in Methuen.
Oh, all right. Now let me ask.
Hear every word that you say.
Let me ask you why.
I'm especially interested in how to make a donation.
All right. So the easiest way to make a donation, if you want to do it online,
you can't do it. You can't do it with your Visa card, right?
Yes, you can.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you can. Matter of fact, I'm trying to think. Normally, there's membership categories. I'll have to see if there's a way to do, an amount that's not specified. But you can use PayPal and use a credit card of your choice. And there's you can go to WHAV.net, click on the membership. WHAV.net, probably where you are now. And then let me do this while you're right on the line. It's a good question. Membership sign up. So it's on the top menu, membership sign up. But I think what you're suggesting is something that won't quite fit in a membership category.
No, that's right. In addition to membership, which is generally $50, isn't it?
Yeah, so Jerry is already a member. I'll tell you what, Jerry, thanks for alerting me to this. We're going to create a special section. You see, Jerry, you're way ahead of the game, and maybe I was a couple of weeks ago. We haven't formally announced the capital campaign, but there's a nice big surprise when we do. I'm going to tease it a little bit.
Okay.
A very well-known personality is going to be helping us raise money for this for the new FM stations transmitting.
Tom Bergeron?
That's a guess. That's a guess. A well-known personality is going to be helping raise money for the new FM station.
Oh, wonderful.
And you might find that. But I'll tell you what. For those of you who can't wait for this new button to be placed on the website, you can mail your contributions to WHAV 189 Ward, W-A-R-D,
Ward
Hill Avenue in Haverhill, 01835.
01835.
And by the way, I'll give another clue because it's you, Jerry. Our campaign is going to be called Making Waves. And it's a nice play on words. It's like making waves. It's like radio waves, but it's also like what a lot of other people say. These people at WHAV are always making waves, reporting on all this stuff. So,
yeah.
And now, I actually have a question for you, but I'll tell you what. Let me finish.
I just wanted to go through my. I had, this is the best thing that happened is tonight. Really, I had last week. I went on the Boston station in the morning because I'm very strong on vaccinations. I was in an epidemic. It wasn't anything like typhoid, etc. It was the paralytic shellfish poison, and years ago in '74, and it was an epidemic. It started out with 10 cases, and then it logarithmic increased. It was increasing,
okay.
And we were able to take, they call them tough decisions and brash decisions. So we were able to stop it. So my idea with vaccination is that everybody should get vaccinated, and I guess I'm in a minority. Well, anyway, I called into this Boston station, and I defended my position, and the talk show host said, you did a good job, Jerry. Call in again. So I called in today because prior to my calling in, there was like 3 or 4 people called. They were really concerned about their electric bill.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because National Grid just was granted a 33% increase.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Incredible. And so I called in, and I got on cue, and I started to talk. So every time that the listener mentioned National Grid, he says, "Well, I have to look into it. Have to look into it." So then, just before in what they call the bumper, that's in between, right?
Jerry, you are becoming a radio talk show host.
Listen, just before the bumper, during the bumper, all of a sudden, an advertisement comes on. It's National Grid on his station, National Grid, and they're telling people how to diffuse the pain.
Oh.
Which didn't go over very good.
I would think not.
It was really a bad. And I'm trying to think. Shall I just hang up because
that's bad
here
timing.
I am going to go on about the National Grid. So I went on, and I said, "Gee, you were mentioning that you were going to look into it." I said, "Gee, I've done an awful lot of research, and I says that I can help you, help you get a head start on it if you really want to look at it." So then, he had a few more calls about the bill, and then all of a sudden switched to another subject. But just prior to that, I was only on maybe 60 seconds, and he cut me off. So not only am I hurt, but my ego is hurt, and I didn't think that was fair, really. I was trying to help him out, but in retrospect, everybody's talking about the rate increase, and he's saying I have to look into it. Come on, will you?
You know what, Jerry? Actually, you just brought up something because we weren't on last week, so I didn't get a chance to get to this. But you know what? This is a great tie-in. WHAV published, if that's the correct word, on its website, and also Dana put it on the air during the last week. But, you raise a very interesting point, and I'm going to editorialize a bit, and you can yell at me if you don't like it.
No. I know what you're going to say.
Well,
even though your station, you're probably going to say, even though your station is sponsored by maybe a National Grid, it doesn't change your feelings, your opinions, and the listeners, and everybody gets a fair shot.
Well, that's right. I mean, the old days, my former boss at the Haverhill Gazette, the late Barney Gallagher, said there is a wall between advertising and editorial for a reason. And here it's the same. But I'm going to go one step further. I think deregulation of the electricity and gas industries was a complete sham, designed only to enrich the stockholders of the utility companies.
Exactly. National Grid, speaking of that, National Grid, you know what their dividend is? if I didn't hate them so much, and etc., I'd be buying the stock. They're paying 5%. They're paying 5% dividend semi-annually.
All right, so this is an enormous amount of money paid to the shareholders, unless you have a reinvestment plan, which you maybe some stockholders do, but it still means they're buying more shares.
Yeah, the dividend reinvestment plan, yeah.
Now, here's something WHAV reported, and I believe, and I'm convinced actually, the WHAV is the only media in the entire Commonwealth, and for that matter, the whole world, the only one to report this sham that's taking place. Now, you may, and these may be names you've worked with in the past, Jerry, so you can yell at me if you want. But Barbara Cates Garnick, she is a former DPU commissioner, Department of Public Utilities commissioner. Now, the Department of Public Utilities is the ones, this group of state officials that decides whether or not they're going to allow a rate increase. Now, when they deregulated the electric industry, what happened, and Jerry knows this, but for listeners who may not be familiar with it, what happened was the people who so-called deliver the energy, National Grid and the former gas companies that are now part of National Grid.
In other words, transmission.
That's right. The people who deliver it, transmit the energy, decided to separate themselves from the people who generate the energy. So National Grid sold off, or before then Mass Electric, sold off all their generating capacity to private companies. So they got this windfall of cash from selling off these assets, and then they enriched all the shareholders.
They got rid of all their coal-fired generators.
Right. So they sold off. Now, in the old days, when they owned both, the Department of Public Utilities would say, "Well, wait a minute. Now you own the plant. Are you buying the energy at a good rate?" And they would scrutinize it. But now National Grid can just make up any number. Very little justification, and part of the reason this happens, and this is in our WHAV story, and it's online if someone wants to look it up.
I'll read it, boy. I'm getting interested already.
All right, so this story, the headline was, those who ended local gas utility push fracked gas in Valley. All you have to do, though, to make it real easy to find, is type in part of her last name in the search field on the top of the webpage. Cates, K-A-T-E-S. Cates. So Barbara Cates Garnick had been a DPU commissioner, but she recently was Undersecretary of Energy in now former Governor Deval Patrick's administration. And so she goes from a state official, Undersecretary of Energy, directly to this lobbying group that, of course, has this great name to disguise themselves from looking like a lobbying group. They call themselves the Coalition to Lower Energy Costs. But when I looked at it, and our team looked at all their state filings, this group was only formed in October, and the three principal members of the Coalition to Lower Energy Costs are former Massachusetts Department of Public Utilities Chairman Eugene Sullivan Jr., and...
Is that the same Hugh Sullivan that was Secretary of Environmental Affairs?
Well, maybe he was. I don't know. How many Eugene Sullivans could there be? Might be a lot. I don't know.
I don't know.
Eugene J. Sullivan is a member of the coalition, and all of the members are part of a lobbying company.
All millionaires.
And so I think Barbara Cates Garnick thought she could get around those rules, that you can't just go. I think there's a waiting period of a year or 2 years. You can't go from...
It's 2 years.
All right, you can't go from the regulator to the regulated.
Yeah, you're supposed to have at least 2 years.
So the Coalition to Lower Energy Costs, formed in October, is operated by lobbyist Alfred A. Minahan, president, Dustin D.
Those Irishmen, you got to beware of those Irishmen. You know that?
I don't know. Dustin D. Brooks, treasurer, and John, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, Hahasi, director. According to the Massachusetts Secretary of State's office. All of them are or were formerly associated with Minahan's Minahan Strategies of Boston, which is a lobbying firm. So they created this front group called the Coalition to Lower Energy Costs. And Barbara Cates Garnick, former DPU commissioner, and Eugene J. Sullivan Jr., a former DPU commissioner, are among the people getting paid to fool everyone into thinking that they really care about lowering your energy costs. And,
yeah.
And they are a front group.
My bill went from 300 and something to 400 and something. In addition to that, you sign this emergency maintenance kind of a contract. They got a new company. It's called Absolute Solutions, I think. And you know what? The price has gone up since last year, at least almost $200, I would say. In other words, it's going to cost, in order to have somebody on standby, which you need, really, with all the blackouts we've had,
right?
At a cost of $502. How can a person on a fixed income who's trying to stay in his own little house there afford, a couple of $100 a month in electric bills, and then a capital cost of $500 to make sure that if he has a CPAP machine or something like that. I've been very fortunate through the years, investments and working very hard. It really is not affecting me at this particular juncture, but I feel badly for people on a fixed income that was trying to stay in their home.
No, or who lost everything in their retirement during the crash in 2008. But on this web page, again, this was on the air last week, but it's on the web.
Okay, what's the name again now?
All right, I would say the best way to find this is to go to the search feature at the top of WHAV.net, near the top of WHAV.net. It says search in gray, and type in, the best thing to do is type in Cates, Kates.
Kates.
And that's short for Barbara Cates Garnick. And you'll be able to see this thing. But what it turns out is that this is a front group for the people who want to bring in the gas pipeline.
Yeah.
The frack.
You know that we don't need any more gas. You know where the gas is going? If you look at the alignment for the Kinder Morgan Tennessee gas line that they're going to put through Methuen into southern New Hampshire through Haverhill. They're going to use probably subterranean under the river through Haverhill and then down the coastline. Okay, they say it's going to go to Beverly. It ain't going to Beverly. You got to be a dumbbell. It's going to Salem Harbor. It's a deep harbor. It's another potential shipping facility.
Yeah, what's funny is that these people in their map, and they made the map. We didn't make the map. They misspelled Worcester. But anyway,
how'd they spell it?
Worcester.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
But this shows the Fitchburg lateral, Drake-it, the Haverhill Loop. It's called the Energy North lateral. No, it's very very telltale.
This one comes from Drake-it.
Yeah.
This one comes from Drake-it.
It comes from Drake-it, but it first has to pass through Western Massachusetts.
That's right, through Western Massachusetts, exactly.
And then it comes into this center, and so they put together this front group, the Coalition to Lower Energy Costs, Inc. But if you look at the members of the coalition, they're all lobbyists. And then they bring out they dust off these former state officials to come in. And one of them, a very recent state official, and I think I may file a complaint with Secretary of State Galvin's office that I think this is a way she thought she could get around that 2-year rule.
What's her name?
Barbara Cates Garnick.
Oh, she's the one also who's worked within took this job with the supposedly the person that she was regulating within a period of 2 years.
Yes, she calls herself a senior consultant, but I still think it's an end run on the rules.
It's an end run. Yeah. The other thing is I talked to somebody today.
But just so we tie it all together, she also after she left DPU, but before she went back to the state as Undersecretary of Energy. What do you think she did then? She worked as President of Government Affairs. By the way, Government Affairs, Jerry knows this, Government Affairs is code word for lobbyists.
Exactly.
Government Affairs for Boston Gas.
Yeah.
Which
wow.
So this is the person who...
a lobbyist for Boston Gas.
Yeah, and of course now Boston Gas is now, hidden in the umbrella of National Grid. All right.
Now, Tim. Right now, you've gone over your time. Right now,
you see, everyone's keeping me on my clock tonight.
Right now, these companies that have the gas, they can't export it, but two of the pipelines end up at ports. One in Boston, okay, and the other pipeline, the most recent one that's going through Methuen to South Salem to Haverhill and then down the coast. That one is going to Salem Power Station, Salem Harbor, which is a deep water port. They used to have barges of oil and coal coming in there to fire the big generator that they had there. And then today I talked to somebody else, and they said, "Oh, you don't really think that these big energy companies manipulate the market?" I said, "What are you talking about? They're closing down all the rigs. They're shutting down all the fracking operations because they don't like the price of natural gas now."
Yeah, the big banks are buying stakes in energy, which is causing the prices to go up because it's a supply versus demand in the stock market too. And if we all remember, and if we don't remember, I'm sure Jerry would remind you, but I'll remind you that Enron, the giant company that went bankrupt, Enron collapsed the state of California's energy system with their bogus buying and selling of futures.
Exactly.
All right. So I'll tell you what, Jerry, one last thing, and Nate hates this because I'm going to keep you on here. All right, we have something coming up after the break, but you will know more about it than any listener, I'm sure, because of your former work for the state. But the state, WHAV reported this exclusively today. A deed was filed with the Registry of Deeds on Friday regarding the new Harbor Place project on Merrimack Street in Haverhill. Now, the deed restriction is, Jerry, you know these three words probably by heart, Order of Conditions from Department of Environmental.
Yes, I do.
Order of Conditions. And what I found interesting in the Order of Conditions is although there's a flood wall, it's been there for, 60 years.
Yeah, you can see it from the restaurant across the way.
That's right, the Roma.
The Roma, I love it. They're Italian food. I love it.
All right, so even though there's a flood wall, officially there is still a high water mark and a low water mark that Harbor Place has to be careful
Comply
of.
with, yeah.
And they also, the DEP said in their Order of Conditions that there must be public access at all times. At all times. It even says 24 hours a day. Public access to the river at all times.
How the heck are they going to get to the river? I mean, it's 15, 20, even at high tide, it's 15, 20 feet higher, isn't it, the elevation there?
Yeah, I would think that they mean using the public spaces. They're going to build right up to the top of the flood wall, a public viewing area. So I just thought this was very interesting that the state took such a strong stance, because this has been a politically favored project that no one will go near, no one will say anything bad about. I'm not saying anything bad about it. This has been such a politically favored project for the state. The state put in that Order of Conditions, and maybe, Jerry, you can tell me if this is standard. Not only must there be 24-hour access, there cannot be any gates.
I saw that.
There have to be signs letting the public know that they have a right to be there. And I thought the state went way out of their way to make sure public access to the waterfront was protected. And WHAV reported that today. So I would say that, would you say the DEP is apolitical and staying away from the politics and just doing their job?
I don't know. I don't know. I've had such a bad experience with my former agency that I worked 51 years with. Especially during the Deval Patrick regime, nothing as far as enforcement. I told you this before. No enforcement was taken until the enforcement action was submitted to the governor's office for for plus or minus, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm waiting to see what Governor Baker, what kind of an environmentalist he is. Generally, Republicans are, they're not too fond of regulations and things like that.
Yeah,
he hasn't really showed his hand yet, has he?
No, not really. I don't think he's had any influence yet on this process. This was, maybe he has. But I will say that I was surprised.
When the appointments don't kind of indicate it, do they?
No, actually, a good question. We should go through those during another broadcast, go through each one. And
I think it's time for you to go to the break.
All right. But, Jerry,
In the meantime, I'll think about what you said. I'll think about what you said about, the question of whether the auto condition was too restrictive, not restrictive enough, etc.
All right. I just
Public access, I guess, is something that it's always put in just about every auto condition. If you look at beach property, there always has to be some kind of access for the people because of, under what they call riparian ownership.
That's right.
They're entitled to, to bathe,
Sure. I just thought it was interesting how strong it was. And
I'll talk to somebody about it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jerry. Always appreciate talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Jerry won a prize tonight. Every caller tonight wins a prize. Again, I'm just going to, Nate's going to combine these two breaks so you haven't missed the weather. I may have delayed your access to the weather, but you haven't missed it yet. But the big news story on WHAV today, exclusively on WHAV, I have to give credit to the news department here. We now know the number of apartments that will be built at Harbor Place. It's 80. The number of parking spaces in the garage, I believe, is 145. And then, of course, they've got a lease to take some parking across the street at the Haverhill parking garage, the Herbert H. Skokie Jr. Memorial Parking Deck. But I found... I wonder if listeners think there's a conflict. If you allow 24-hour access to the river through the Harbor Place project, whether that will cause a conflict with future tenants about who has the right to sit on the deck and look at the river or that kind of thing. So your comments are welcome, 978-374-1900. We're going to go to local weather. We're going to have a movie review. And then we'll be back with more of the Open Mic Show, your calls, and lots of gifts after that.
Open Mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
It's 7:48.
The Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom turns out local programs every day and night. Tune in for local news, community spotlight, and the Open Mic Show. Only local radio can bring you local news, but only WHAV does.
Catch the wave!
On the next Making Contact.
I was born again on the streets of Ferguson. I got saved, as we would say in evangelical parlance, by some kids with gold teeth and tattoos and sagging pants.
Some call it a new civil rights movement. Others simply call it Black Lives Matter. But it's yet to be seen if the momentum for justice will result in systemic change, and whether the same nonviolent strategies of civil resistance will work this time around.
The police and the military and the powers that be like violence. So why pick the place that they're the strongest.
On this edition, a conversation about waging nonviolence between civil rights movement veteran David Hartsoe and Ferguson activist Osajifo Uhuru Seku.
Making Contact is heard every Wednesday night at 6:30. Remember, only local radio can bring you such compelling features, but only WHAV does.
Wave weather.
I'm WHAV meteorologist Gary Best with wave weather. Any lingering snow or scattered snow showers ending through the night. Breezy and very cold, low temperature between 9 and 12. During the day on Tuesday, a mix of clouds and sun. High temperature 22 to 26. Fair at night around 10 to 14 degrees. And during the day Wednesday, sun and clouds, a slight chance of a flurry. High temperature upper teens to low 20s. This is Gary Best. Your next wave weather coming up in 30 minutes.
Merrimack Valley Happenings is your weekly guide to economic news and cultural events. It's a quick read about local business, the economy, and higher education. It also features an all-in-one calendar of business, cultural, and recreational events. View Merrimack Valley Happenings online or sign up for a weekly email at merrimackvalley.info.
Catch the wave.
On air or online, WHAV serves you. All day long, keep up to date with tenacious but objective local reporting from the only Haverhill-based news source. Find out about civic and charitable events on Community Spotlight every quarter hour, and better prepare with wave weather heard every 30 minutes. For talk, there's Tom Hartman weekdays at noon, the Open Mic Show every Monday night, and David Packman Tuesday through Friday nights. And there's more. Hear classic comedy and drama 7 nights a week at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. Finally, a unique blend of soft gold music radiates day and night. Only local radio can bring you this combination of music, news, and features, but only WHAV does.
This is Take Two Movie Review. I'm Kim Lowe. This week, sometimes knowing less is better. The late Gore Vidal famously dubbed this country the United States of Amnesia. If he were alive today, he might say he was proven right in light of how many view the Iraq War. Despite the fact that the war is a fairly recent event, many seem to be at risk for forgetting the reasons behind it and the complex issues that arose as a result of it. While 2008's The Hurt Locker attempted to look at the war from the soldier's point of view and raised many complex questions which remain largely unanswered, Clint Eastwood's American Sniper does not take the same approach. Indeed, many have called it a simple tale, and in some ways it is. Based on the best-selling memoir of the same name by Navy SEAL Chris Kyle, American Sniper is very black and white. Kyle, as portrayed by Bradley Cooper, is the good guy, a sniper with the heart of gold, whose actions save the lives of many fellow soldiers. The people he takes out are bad guys, including the chief baddie Mustafa, whose game of cat and mouse with Kyle makes up most of the tension in the movie. While recent criticism about the real Chris Kyle, who was killed in 2013 by a fellow veteran who was suffering from PTSD, has made headlines recently, it is possible to enjoy American Sniper purely on the basis of its artistic merit. Eastwood's directing is sharp and never lags, while Cooper is more than deserving of his Oscar nomination for Best Actor. His Kyle is far from perfect, but nonetheless likable and relatable. If anything, one of the main problems with American Sniper is that the audience knows too much of the backstory of Kyle and of Eastwood's well-documented political views. This is one case where a lesser-known director may have been an improvement. This has been Take Two Movie Review. I'm Kim Lowe. Catch up with us at TakeTwoMovieReview.com and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Take2_Review.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
All right, welcome back to the Open Mic Show. This hour of the Open Mic Show is being brought to you by the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council. Smart companies choose the Merrimack Valley. All right, just received a word from Haverhill Mayor Fiorentini. He writes, agree with your comments about energy deregulation. Remember when this was sold, we were told it would result in lower energy costs. All regulation did was to leave an unregulated monopoly. The only one that got this right at the time was Ralph Nader. This is from Haverhill Mayor Jim Fiorentini. Thank you, Mayor, for your comments. He says, again, agree with your comments about energy deregulation. Remember when this was sold, we were told it would result in lower energy costs. All right. Nate, did we play that cut? All right. Okay. While we're on city government business, I have to say, Haverhill City Councilor Bill Masick, as I said to the last caller, made some wonderful remarks, glowing remarks, I might add. And I wanted, in case you missed the Haverhill City Council meeting or missed WHAV News last Wednesday, here are some comments, if Nate is ready. Here are some comments that Haverhill City Councilor Bill Masick made that I'm very, very pleased with, and I want to thank Councilor Masick publicly.
Some good news that I'd like to mention that I think would be part of an alternative, or at least maybe even a duplication in a way of what's coming up, is that, and maybe many people know, but I'm not sure everybody's aware, that we are going to be getting a local radio station very soon, that Tim Coco has been granted an FM license, and WHAV FM will be hitting the airwaves, I would guess, hopefully in this year. And I knowing Tim as I do, I think he already is reporting daily news on his WHAV.net station, doing a good job at it. I think he'll only do a better job at it. He's an old reporter himself and loves the radio industry. I mean, he has pulled off to get that FM license, something that was close to an impossibility, and I give him a lot of credit for what he's accomplished in being granted that license, and that will provide a terrestrial FM radio signal to the city of Haverhill, and I would hope that he will, if not broadcast our meetings in duplicating what is being done by HCTV for television. At least I'm sure he'll have a reporter here and that he will recover them diligently, because I know that's what he used to do when I was on the council back in the 80s, and he was the Gazette reporter. So he's a great guy, and we're very fortunate to have him as one of the people that's so invested in the city and really cares about doing what's right for the city. So I just wanted to mention that Tim Coco is working now to get that FM on the air, and I think that will also help keep at least the community message front and center through FM radio. So those are my comments for this evening. Thank you.
Open mic!
All right. Councilor Masick, thank you very much. I'm afraid now that we have a recording of that, and my ego is so large, thanks to you, we may play that again. But thank you very much. No, we appreciate it. Actually, a lot of things, once the FM is on the air, almost everything you now receive, you'll still receive. Oh, I don't mean to sound like Obama and your health insurance, but almost everything you have now will be improved with better access. We looked at a coverage map of the future FM signal, goes all the way out to the ocean, goes up into New Hampshire. It's going to be a very large listenership area, and we certainly appreciate all of you who helped WHAV get to this point. It's been an 11-year effort. It took 11 years from the beginning of the WHAV internet and cable TV station to get to the FM license. And as Jerry, former caller who just called, it's going to be an expensive proposition, and we made a decision early on that the new WHAV would be a non-profit corporation owned by the people, non-profit, regulated by the Attorney General, so that the WHAV will never be taken away from this community ever again. We will announce a special celebrity chairman of the campaign. It's going to be called Making Waves, and we'll get you a little bit more. However, as Nate reminds me, if you can still support WHAV right now because we still have ongoing costs. I mean, Nate, the refreshments he charges to this. No, he doesn't charge any refreshments. He pays for them, but there are plenty of costs. The cost of streaming the signal, the television signal, the cost to stream the audio signal, royalties on music, the paid news department. I'm not paid, but lots of expenses just to have what we have. So you can become a WHAV member by clicking on the membership tab at WHAV.net. Go to WHAV.net. I'm going to do it right while I'm on the line with you. Click membership sign up, and then you have some options there. Free basic membership, which gets you the website and so on. But then there's a student and seniors membership for only $10. Individual club, $25. Leadership Circle, $100. And, of course, the Edwin V. Johnson Society, $500. And, of course, if there's some other amount, nothing will ever be turned away. We certainly appreciate that. You can send that right to WHAV, 189 Ward Hill Avenue, here in Haverhill, 01835. And Nate will make it even easier for you if you'd like. If you want to call the radio station, 978-374-1900 before this program ends. You can give Nate your name and credit card information. Nate, you have the forms there, don't you? And I should have mentioned that to Jerry. Nate will take it while we're on the air, and he has the credit card form, so you don't have to worry about emailing any confidential information. The website version is completely secure, but you can't change the amounts other than those that are listed there. All right. So every caller tonight has received a prize, and we're still taking birthdays and anniversary wishes for March. So wish someone a happy birthday, wish a couple a happy anniversary. Say their name on the air. We'll put it into the hat for drawing for a cake from our good friends at LBD's Second Generation Italian Bakery right there in Bradford. And these people are absolutely amazing. Open every morning at 6 a.m. 6 a.m., the middle of the night for some of us. LBD's Second Generation Italian Bakery on South Main Street. So this is really wonderful. If you're a commuter and your train is canceled tomorrow, which it is, no MBTA service, well, you can at least stop by LBD's Second Generation Italian Bakery, 140 South Main Street, and sample some of the goodies there. Tell your spouse you actually did go to work and just spend the day pigging out on baked goods. I like the idea. All right. Because I was over on so many items, we're going to try to go back to our schedule. We're now going to bring you complete local news with WHAV News Director Dana Esmel. Pay careful attention to a couple of the news stories. 80 units of housing at the new Harbor Place project with an order of conditions from the Department of Environmental Protection for 24-hour public access to the river. You might find that interesting. There's some other news stories. Our good friend Sean Regan at the Eagle Tribune has become the communications director for newly elected Senator Barbara L'Italian. All that on the news. And we'll be back after that.
Open mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
It's 8:03.
WHAV Merrimack Valley. WHAV is a not-for-profit service of Public Media of New England, Incorporated. It's heard on 1640 AM, the web, at whav.net, and participating cable television stations.
what's happening in local news. Environmental conditions recorded Friday provide the first detailed look at a developer's Merrimack Street plans and also require an array of protections for public access to the river. The consortium developing a block of buildings on the south side of Merrimack Street revealed details about a second building that has not been widely discussed. It will contain 80 units of housing. Conditions placed on the project by the State Department of Environmental Protection require the developers to, quote, construct and maintain in good repair a network of public open space with no obstacles for safe, free, and universally accessible public passage. All open space shall be accessible 24 hours a day with no gates or other barriers installed to impede pedestrian circulation, end quote. Previous attention has been focused on the principal building replacing the former Woolworth's department store and adjoining space. That building is proposed to house UMass Lowell, Pentucket Bank offices, retail or restaurant space, 148 spaces of underground parking, a public plaza, outdoor dining areas, and a 475-foot publicly accessible boardwalk. For more in-depth coverage, visit whav.net. Another blast of winter in the Merrimack Valley has canceled classes at most local schools. Also, district and superior courts in Essex County and in other Massachusetts counties are closed Monday due to the weather. In Haverhill, a regular snow emergency is in effect until 6 a.m. Tuesday. Police ask residents to make every effort to remove vehicles from the street tonight. A police spokesperson said it is mandatory in the snow emergency areas downtown and a strong suggestion elsewhere. Beginning Monday, trash pickup in Haverhill will be subject to a one-day delay this week, according to Mayor James J. Fiorentini. In Methuen, trash and recycling pickup will remain on schedule Monday. Methuen City Hall is closed Monday, according to Mayor Stephen Anzani. Also, a winter parking ban will be in effect until 10 a.m. Wednesday, February 11, according to Methuen Police. Off-street parking at the municipal lots on Lawrence Street, Osgood Street, and at the Pelham Street Park and Ride are available for use. In Andover, trash pickup is on a normal schedule and a parking ban remains in effect, according to Andover Police. Also, Andover town offices are closed and all scheduled public meetings are canceled for Monday, according to a Town of Andover spokesperson. In Plastow, New Hampshire, a street parking ban is in effect, according to Plastow Police and Fire Departments. The latest storm update is coming up from Wave Weather and can be heard every 30 minutes on WHAV. State Senator Barbara L'Italian today has a new press secretary. Former Eagle Tribune staff writer Sean P. Regan begins today as communications director for the Andover Democrat, elected last November. Quote, "It was a big deal, a big decision for me," Regan, 46 of Lawrence, told WHAV Friday. Regan has worked for the Eagle Tribune newspaper for 15 years. He started as State House reporter in 2000, and his last assignment there was as Haverhill reporter. Previously, he worked 2 years for the Metro West Daily News, Framingham. L'Italian was elected to the Massachusetts Senate last November, succeeding Barry Feingold in the 2nd Essex and Middlesex seat. Before redistricting, L'Italian previously served as one of Haverhill's state representatives. She was the first representative to be elected to the 18th Essex District, which itself was created by redistricting following the 2000 census. L'Italian served from 2003 to 2011. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and it's always free. In the Edwin V. Johnson newsroom, this is Dana Esmel.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Rebecca Foster. U.S. President Barack Obama and German Chancellor Angela Merkel say they've agreed to give diplomacy more time to try and defuse the crisis over Ukraine. President Obama said he hasn't made any decision yet about whether to provide the Ukrainian government with lethal military assistance. Simon Marks reports from Washington.
The two leaders presented a united front at the White House, President Obama indicating any decision about providing weapons to Ukraine is on hold.
The possibility of lethal defensive weapons is one of those options that's being examined. But I have not made a decision about that yet.
The German Chancellor said she couldn't live with herself if she didn't try to resolve the crisis diplomatically. The Americans may be skeptical about the prospects, but they're giving her the time she needs.
Britain's largest bank, HSBC, insists its procedures have fundamentally changed after an investigation found it was helping wealthy clients cheat the UK out of millions of pounds in tax. Details of thousands of secret Swiss accounts have emerged after being leaked by a whistleblower in 2007. HSBC says it's cooperating with authorities as investigations into its practices continue in the U.S., Argentina, Belgium, and France. Bank shares in Greece have fallen sharply following remarks by Greek Finance Minister Yanis Varoufakis about the potential collapse of the Eurozone. Pro-Greece protests also took place in Vienna as Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras visited Austria to lobby support for changes to Greece's bailout deal. Here's our Europe correspondent Sandra Gatman.
Greece's escalating debt crisis sent shares sliding across Europe on Tuesday, triggering a fresh sell-off in Greek bonds. The Athens market plummeted 6%, with Greece's four largest banks seeing double-digit falls. The market panic was sparked by Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras' defiant speech delivered over the weekend, vowing to reverse austerity measures, and his finance minister's warnings that a Greek exit from the euro would mean the collapse of the single currency.
Internet streaming giant Netflix has announced it's launched its service in Cuba as the U.S. and Cuba work towards establishing full diplomatic relations. Cubans can subscribe to Netflix using international credit and debit cards. CEO of the company, Reed Hastings, says Netflix is excited to bring its content to Cubans. And acclaimed American novelist Harper Lee is said to be extremely hurt by claims that she's been pressured into authorizing the publication of a sequel to the iconic classic To Kill a Mockingbird. The 88-year-old author lives in seclusion at a retirement home in Alabama, and questions have been raised about whether she's aware that 2 million copies of the book are about to roll off the presses. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Wave weather.
I'm WHAV meteorologist Gary Best with wave weather. Any lingering snow or scattered snow showers ending through the night. Breezy and very cold, low temperature between 9 and 12. During the day on Tuesday, a mix of clouds and sun. High temperature 22 to 26. Fair at night around 10 to 14 degrees. And during the day Wednesday, sun and clouds, a slight chance of a flurry. High temperature upper teens to low 20s. This is Gary Best. Your next wave weather coming up in 30 minutes.
WHAV is on Facebook. For quick access, visit WHAV.net and click on the Facebook icon.
Catch the wave. WHAV. Merrimack Valley. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
And you're tuned correctly for the Open Mic Show. This hour of the Open Mic Show being brought to you by the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council. Smart companies choose the Merrimack Valley. And the council had its seasonal meeting last Friday morning, mid-afternoon at UMass Lowell. And unfortunately, I was unable to attend, but some great speakers and some big announcements. We'll cover those as we have time, but very good effort there. All right. Governor Baker has declared a state of emergency in a number of counties, including Essex County, but we're waiting for formal word on whether or not schools are closed tomorrow, and I think a lot of people are waiting to find that out. MBTA service has been canceled for this evening, so if you had a loved one, and perhaps yourself, and you're listening on your cell phone, no more trains tonight. So that's pretty incredible. All right, let's go to the phones. You're on the Open Mic Show. Hi there.
Hey, Jim Fiorentini. How are you?
Mayor, how are you? Nice to hear from you tonight, and thank you for your comments about deregulation.
Well, that's what I called about, Tim. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. When deregulation was put in, I think it was a statewide ballot initiative, if I remember right, and almost all the politicians told us, I remember Scott Harshbarger, whom I supported, and a number of other politicians in both parties, said that deregulation would lead to lower electric rates. Do you remember that?
Absolutely do.
Yeah, and the only one that got it right was Ralph Nader, whom I'm not generally a fan of, but Ralph Nader said this only thing this is going to lead to is an unregulated monopoly, not to lower electric rates. And today we've seen the fruit of that deregulation nonsense. It's an unregulated monopoly. They raised the rates by an astounding 37%. And I've heard from many, many constituents who are just outraged by this, and should be.
No, and of course, when they sold off their generating assets, they no longer had control over some of those prices, which maybe that's the way they like it. And it's been, I mean, we saw what happened with Enron in California. The same thing is happening here. And I don't know if you saw this on WHAV News' website or on the air a few weeks ago, but an enormous fine was just levied against the company Just Energy for selling bogus so-called energy-saving contracts in our area. So it seems to be a free-for-all on the consumer, and it's just unfortunate.
No, I don't know anything about that. Who is Just Energy?
It's one of those companies that is allowed to resell electricity and then enter into their own agreements. They've been doing door-to-door. I think Haverhill City Council gave them a permit, as you would expect they would, for door-to-door salespeople. And apparently Just Energy. Matter of fact, I will try to multitask here and call up the story, but they were just fined in the last month or so by the Attorney General's office in Massachusetts. Okay, they paid a $4 million settlement. This was on our website. Let me get the date, January 7th.
Well,
so
consumers can save money by going with alternative energy companies. They have to lock in for a year or two. But consumers shouldn't have to go on the Internet, do a lot of research, try to figure out on their own what's a good energy company and what's a scam. This is what you have government regulators for. So deregulation, I was opposed to it at the time, and this is the fruit of that.
No, and I think you were right, Mayor. So Attorney General Martha Coakley had Just Energy Group, Inc., and its affiliates pay a $4 million fine to settle allegations of, quote, deceptive marketing and sales that promise savings but charge significantly higher rates, entered consumers into agreements without their consent, and charged costly termination fees. So I guess it's buyer beware, which is unfortunate because that's why we have regulators.
Yep. While I have you here, while I'm on the air, I just want to thank the people of Haverhill who have overwhelmingly worked with us on the roads. I asked everyone, unprecedented, we've never done it before, to keep all cars off the road. And I would say that 95% or better of the public complied. And some of the roads today, some of the narrow streets would not be passable had we not done that and had people complied. When we asked people to keep only on the even side of the road in February, I drive all around the city every day. I do a tour every day during the snow, and it's overwhelming, the compliance. Very rarely do I see cars parked on both sides of the street. And I know it's tough. People are losing their patience, and I don't blame them. They're frustrated. But overwhelmingly, people have worked with us, and I just want to say thank you.
Well, Mayor, I have to give you a lot of credit for how you've handled this. You put out a lot of information over these storms about where people can park at Tilton School, for example. If they needed warmth, they can have the police open the Citizen Center. You have put a lot of time and energy into making the public aware of what they can do, what they must do.
I'm beginning to see why other people don't do that, though, Tim.
Oh, really? You're getting some pushback on it?
You put out a notice saying, listen, here's a notice, but I don't have a chance to respond to constituent requests. It's only me. I don't allow my staff to be on Facebook during the day, and we certainly don't allow highway workers or city employees to spend time on Facebook. They have other things to do, so it's only me. And if I say, listen, here's what we're doing, please, if you would, please, if you have any requests, if we can serve you in any way, send an email. This will be followed by 15 requests on Facebook saying, well, what about this street or what about that street? And,
yeah, and I know you have a message on your Facebook page, Mayor Jim Fiorentini. This page not monitored 24/7. Please do not leave requests for service on this page. Use the city website for constituent requests. So it's not like you didn't say it.
It makes it. We have a new software on the city website. It's called MaintStar, MaintStar. We joined with a group of communities. We got a grant for this. We're the first communities on the East Coast to use it, and it's brand new constituent services software. People log into the city website, and they can actually enter a work order with the DPW to go out and do things. Previously, what happened was they'd email the mayor's office, and we'd call the DPW, and then they would enter a work order. And this really simplifies things. It's going to allow us eventually, once we, get all the tweaks out of it, to give people periodic reports. Here's how we're doing on your work request. And what we want to do as quickly as possible is figure out standards. So if someone says, would you please take this tree down, we can respond and say, well, there's an 8-month delay in taking tree downs, but you're on our list. Can you please remove snow on this street? We're getting there, but it's going to be a 24-hour delay, 48-hour delay, or whatever it is. So that's why I encourage people to use the city website.
Well, that's actually quite an amazing technological feat, though. So this saves you the time of taking the order once, passing it along to a department head a second time. This is all electronic. It sounds like a great system. And you say the city is one of the first to use it?
Yes, we got a grant along with some other area communities. I don't honestly remember who else is in on it. Andover, North Andover, I know is another one. We got a grant through the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission. It would normally have cost about $250,000. It cost the city $35,000. It's really a terrific program, and it saves us a lot of work. I got the concept, but not the software, from Mayor Menino's Constituent Services Office. I thought Mayor Menino did a terrific job fighting for his citizens with constituent services. My chief of staff and I went in to visit him and see his operation not too long before he left office and then passed away. We were very impressed, and we wanted to implement that here.
Well, very good job. Very good job. Now, although they're not on the air, one of the most calls we're receiving tonight are people wondering if there's school tomorrow. Do you know the answer to that question?
Yes and no. I just got an email from Superintendent Scully about it. If I read it, I will have the answer. No, I guess I won't.
All right. So I'm putting you on the spot.
I don't know. The answer is the email from Superintendent Scully says that it's up to the towns whether they want to have. I just talked to Superintendent Scully a few minutes ago. He's going to make that decision within a short period of time. It'll be on the internet, and he'll make his usual call. I know he wants to open school tomorrow, but Superintendent Scully really is an incredibly hardworking guy. He goes around and personally checks the schoolyards, the roads, the sidewalks, etc.
No, actually, and he's promised me a piece of the orange carpet from his office. All right, well, we'll keep listeners up to date on that. I don't see any announcement yet on the school department's page, but Mayor, really do appreciate that you're taking the time to call in. I know.
How come you're not on TV tonight?
How can I say this diplomatically? WHAV believes in public service, and our people come to work even when it snows. I'm afraid that's not always the case with others, so that there's no one at the TV station.
There's no one at the TV station tonight?
No.
I didn't know that. City Hall was open today, and I put on the City of Haverhill website that I was so impressed and grateful. As far as I know, every single office at City Hall was open. Not every employee was able to make it in because of the roads, but they were there. I sent people home at 2:00. I wanted them to get home safely, but I want to thank our employees. They're incredibly hardworking and dedicated.
One last question for you, if I may.
Sure.
You may have seen on WHAV's website we had a photograph of the hole through the third floor landing on the stairwell at City Hall.
Yep.
I imagine. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm allowed to have opinions on the show. We don't do it in our news, but I imagine that once you bring in an engineering firm to look at the whole, they're going to go look at the whole building, and we might have a big bill coming. What do you think will happen?
I don't know. We suspect it's snow related, but we don't know for sure. We're going to actually bring in an engineer to look at this. We're given a preliminary estimate that's about $10,000, which is certainly manageable. We have that in our repair budget. But we're going to do a second thing, which is to ask for an engineering firm to come in and assess the whole building. We want to fix problems before they happen. We'll see. That could be nothing. It could be something big. We don't know yet.
Well, it is an old building, 1910, Haverhill High School, and I would think that the 1973 renovations really didn't get to the structure of the building, more of the cosmetics. So you probably are in the unfortunate position of having to evaluate that situation.
Well, we'll take a look at it. No matter what happens, that building's in better shape than the 20-year-old or 15-year-old police station in Haverhill. And it says it all about construction techniques, that when the Hunking School had to be evacuated, they took people from the Hunking and they took them to the Bartlett School built in around 1895.
No, it is amazing. A lot of listeners have made the similar comments that I guess it's true they don't build them like they used to.
Absolutely. City Hall, the building that I'm in today, will be here long after you and I are gone. May not be City Hall forever, but the building will be there.
All right, so are you making an announcement that we're building a new City Hall?
There's people that have suggested that, but
I have to say that here's my wish list. Well, I know it's not realistic, and I know it's not going to happen. My wish list is that we renovate the existing City Hall back into a dedicated classical high school. So we leave the bulk of the high school where it is, but the classical academy would move to what is now City Hall, and Haverhill would build in its downtown a beautiful City Hall that we could be proud of. But I know it's not going to happen.
You're not the only one that suggests that. My wish list is to get the fire station off the river. You don't need a fire station on the river. You need some presence on the river. You need a boat on the river, but you don't need a fire station there. And that would be beautiful land for a beautiful riverfront park.
Oh, I mean on Water Street.
On Water Street.
Well, that's interesting. I guess the biggest obstacle you have is that you'll never move National Grid substations, so you only have so much land you can use.
Correct. Absolutely. And when you win the Powerball, Tim, we're going to have you donate the money so we can do it.
All right. Well, it better be the big jackpot and no sharing.
I have the same odds of winning as people that bought a ticket, even though I didn't. And rounded off to the nearest 1,000th of 1%, I have the same odds, 0.
Well, that's
Tim, thanks very much. Nice to chat with you.
Well, really, thank you for calling. We really appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Take care. All right, Haverhill Mayor James J. Fiorentini calling the open mic show. Great discussion there. Again, another news item you may have missed. It was on WHAV Friday that a giant chunk, I should say, came out of the third floor landing on the west side of City Hall. The stairwell came through. It was described as a piece of slate. If you look at the way the City Hall or the former high school was constructed, it looks like they built these steel frames and then dropped in some material, slate-like or slate material, for the flooring. And it had apparently given way. And as a safety precaution, the 3 floors using that landing have been closed. The mayor tells us that the initial cost of $10,000 to look at it is manageable, but they'll also look at the entire building, and that should worry most of us. Not because we shouldn't be spending it. We really ought to be spending that money to make sure our public buildings are safe. So good luck to the mayor in tracking that. Hopefully it's nothing more than an isolated incident. So we thank the mayor for that. I'm assuming we're going to skip the 1/4 break. All right. I forgot to offer the mayor a prize. Every caller wins a prize. Mayor, I owe you a prize. If you want, you can text me back, and I'll have Nate reach into what we're calling tonight the toy box from Kimball Tavern Antiques, corner of Salem and South Main Streets. Almost everyone tonight has won some type of baseball card. So, Mayor, text me back if you would like a prize from the prize box. Nate says 2 prizes. We'll give the mayor 2 prizes because that's right. I said if I forget to ask, you get 2 prizes. So, Mayor, let us know if you want 2 prizes from the prize box. I will tell you that they're worth less than $50, so there's no ethics violations involved. All right. Anyway, we thank our listeners. We still don't have the word we were hoping to have on the school announcement. Stay tuned to WHAV, especially 7 o'clock news tomorrow morning will be quite filled with events that either are going to continue or be canceled. And, I think I had some comments on the TV page as I was running past them. Let's see if there's anything left in the minute we have left. Our sound was just taken off HCTV. David Goudswood wrote, KB Toys technically still exists. This is the name that was on one of the sets of baseball cards. The chain went bankrupt in 2009, but Toys R Us acquired the remains of KB Toys, consisting mainly of its website, trademarks, and intellectual property rights. And that's why David Goudswood is Open Mic Show WHAV historian. He is always picking up on this. All right, folks, thank you very much for your time tonight. We'll be back next week with more of the Open Mic Show and your calls. Have a great night.
Open Mic!
Join Tim Coco live on the Open Mic again next Monday night at 6:30. The opinions expressed on the Open Mic Show are not necessarily those of WHAV, its underwriters, or affiliated stations. The Open Mic Show came to you from the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom.
It's 8:31.
The Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom turns out local programs every day and night. Tune in for local news, Community Spotlight, and the Open Mic Show. Only local radio can bring you local news, but only WHAV does.
Catch the wave!
Here